Yes, indeed. What's good, people? It's your boy DJ Nuttism, a.k.a. the 14th letter. We back for a new season of that Turntable Talk, first episode of the year. Some of y'all I haven't seen in about a year. Haven't seen you since last year. Happy New Year to you. I know I'm late. Happy Black History Month. Hey, we got a good show here for you tonight. Got a brother named Danny Wilson. He's helped out a lot of players, a lot of people playing, high schoolers, people who are out of college who wasn't recruited trying to get into college. He's helped a lot of them find the right fit for them and get into college and play sports at the next level. He doesn't just do basketball. Seems like he's into football as well. So that's good. So we're going to get into some good information tonight. Hopefully there's some coaches out there, some players out there who just want to, get some information. This could be helpful to you. I know a lot of young cats, are out here right now looking for agents. A couple of people have mentioned certain things to me about it. And tonight, I'm going to be able to get some information to really give them some guidance on what to do. But at the same time, for those of you out there looking for an agent, just keep in mind that big names aren't everything. Signing with a big name agent does not necessarily mean it's the right thing for you. Also, when you're dealing with these agents, don't believe everything you hear. It's important to do your research. It's important to understand the process. And as long as you understand the process, you'll be able to do some research and kind of work your way. And just don't put all your eggs in one basket. And for you young cats, you cats that are like, 17, 18, 19, even though you may be 18 and you're legally an adult, run this stuff by your parents or guardian or somebody who may have a little experience in this before you just jump into it. It's very important to understand the process, So keep that in mind. At the same time, we're just waiting for our guests to arrive so we can get into this. We got some good information for you tonight. So let's be clear. Also, hope everybody had a happy Valentine's Day. I didn't do the turn up, but it will be back next week. Our guest has arrived. We're just waiting to see. Hey,
Mr. Campbell.
Sir, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm good. How you doing? That's good. So, hey, man, let's get right into it, man.
Okay.
First of all, your posts are sometimes like prayers. A lot of people send Bible verses or prayers, but your posts are sometimes like sports prayers to me.
Thank you.
Even though I know my career is over, there's no more eligibility or anything. Just listening to you make me think, damn, I wish I could play again.
Hey, listen, you still might have a shot, man. Somebody might take you.
Hey, man, as long as they can work with these knees.
Right. Let you play a half a game. You'll be all right.
All right. So good, man. Hey, so as I see, you're doing big things.
I'm trying.
Gotta keep.
Yes.
First of all, let me start by saying I did a little research.
Okay.
Okay. And I did not know that you, even though we graduated probably like 10 years apart from high school, you was went to the school. My rivalry. You was a Bayonne B.
Absolutely. Class of 1994.
94, okay. I'm from Marist,
Yes.
class of 84.
Oh, boy.
Yeah.
You still cool, though.
Yeah. Now, I also didn't know how good of an athlete you were. So I know sometimes when you're doing these research, everything is not correct. So correct me on anything if I'm wrong. Okay. 1994, Bayonne High School, all Hudson County?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what sport was that?
That was in basketball.
Basketball. Okay. So
Yeah.
now, 1994 to 98, Jersey City State College at that time, New Jersey City.
Absolutely. Yes, I played for legendary coach Charlie Brown.
Coach Charlie Brown, yes. And 95, you got most improved player, 95, 96.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to win that. I had a really good season my sophomore year. I averaged 11 points, 8 rebounds. We went to our second straight NCAA tournament.
Okay. And I see you did some coaching at Brookdale Community College.
Yep. That was my first real coaching opportunity. Shout out to my mentor, man, Coach Rich Brunson. He gave me a shot. I had some kids that I brought down from North Jersey, and he and the head coach, Paul Chisek, pulled me aside, and they said that they wanted me to come on board to be the recruiter for the North Jersey area and bring some players down to them.
Okay.
And in that first year, the 2012-2013 season, we won the national championship. We were 33-1.
I see. And then you had the championship 2012 and 2018. Now, was that coaching or playing?
Coaching. 2018, I was director of recruiting for Brookdale, and we won the national championship Division III junior college. We were undefeated that year, 34-0.
Okay. All right, great. Because I know a lot of people who are looking for recruiters or agents, per se. It's good for them to know the successes of the agent.
Well, I think it's very important for the person who is helping you through your recruiting process to have extensive knowledge. I mean, I played high school, I played college, and I had the opportunity to coach college. So I feel that just with my knowledge and my on-the-court experience and then being on the bench, I know what the player is going through from the player side, but I can also tell a parent and a player what the coach is looking for at that next level.
At the next level. Okay. Now, I've heard you talk about a transferable skill.
Yes.
Okay. Now, explain, what is a transferable skill?
So, the transferable skill is something that you do well in your game that transfers to the next level. Okay. So let's just say if you're in elementary school and you're a really good ball handler, that transferable skill is going to transfer to high school.
Okay.
It will also transfer to college. You know what I mean? Okay. If you're a shooter, those skills are transferable across all platforms. Now, another unique thing about transferable skills that everybody's is not going to be the same, and that's okay. Okay. There are some guys that their transferable skill is going to make them a star or a starter. There are some guys that their transferable skill, they're going to come in off the bench and bring good energy in the second unit. They bring sustainability with their scoring or their defense or their rebounding. And then there's going to be transferable skills that don't even apply to the floor or to the football field itself. You could be a good leader, and that's something that's, very, very, underappreciated a lot. Really good coaches understand how good locker room guys are. Right. You got to have them. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like they're something like a segue between a coach and a player, especially if a player is not playing, much. That player could end up becoming a cancer in the locker room. You know what I mean? But when you have a locker room guy, that keeps everybody in check and keeps everybody's spirits up, that I can tell you as a former college coach, it's invaluable.
Okay, now, how do you go about identifying transferable skills?
It's a lot of observation. Like I said, everybody's transferable skill is not going to be the same. So I can give you an example. Like I can watch a player and I might be able to see them at 8, 9, or 10 years old, and I might be able to see their transferable skill there. But then a player that's playing in that same age bracket, I might not see their transferable skills start to surface until ninth or 10th grade, just because maybe they've gotten a little bit taller, their body filled out a little bit more physically. So now they can compete better. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then there are going to be players where they are late bloomers. You may not really see their skill level, their full talent until their freshman year of college. Once they get to the weight room and they learn how to condition their body better, when they learn how to eat properly, and then they get, peak performance out of their body. So, identifying the transferable skill, it's it ranges. Anybody, can see it, but it's just when it tends to surface. You know what I mean? It's all going to surface at different times.
Okay, now I just learned something from you. I had no name for it, but at one point in time I was coaching 6th and 7th graders.
Right.
And no, actually 7th and 8th graders. And a lot of them were, some of them were in 8th grade, ready to graduate. All of them had dreams of playing at the next level in high school. But sometimes when you're in a town where there's only one high school and everybody is going there, it's not as easy to make that team.
No, it's not. It's a lot of competition.
Yeah, so I used to work with them where if they were left-handed, I made them work on the right. If they was right, I made them work on the left. And one thing I used to tell them, when you get to that next level, if you could dribble with both hands and go to the basket, make a layup with both hands, 50% chance right there, you're going to make that team. Because at least during that time, most kids, if they was right-handed, that's all they did. Or if they was left-handed, that's all they did. So that was a transferable skill, as I see. And a lot of them went
absolutely
good things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Being able to handle the basketball, it frees you completely of being bound to a position. When you played and when I played, the thought process was different for youth development coaches. They were like, well, if you're the tallest guy on the team, you go stand over there and be a center. If you're the shortest guy, you're going to be my point guard. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And they let your size determine the position. And as we've gone on and the game has expanded, exponentially, we see now, we look at guys like, Kristaps Porzingis and guys like Dirk Nowitzki and guys like Anthony Davis, who, if they were playing in our era, they wouldn't be able to do the things that they can do on the basketball floor in the NBA.
Exactly, you're right. And I often would tell people, and I tell my son that, I wish we had coaches then that thought the way I thought or the way coaches thought now. You're right, because I was always among the tallest people in my class.
Right.
So exactly, I'm a center or a power forward.
Right.
Yeah.
And and I've even seen that happen at you see it more so in football. When you see certain kids and they see them at certain sizes when they're 6, 7, 8 years old, and it's just like, well, that kid may not always be that size.
Right.
What if they stop growing? Then you taught them to only play one position. Now you've stunted their growth in that specific sport or in that specific position. Where if you just teach them to be complete football players or complete basketball players, look how much a better product you would have. And now that increases your marketability when you're talking about getting recruited to go to college.
Right. Now, in regards to people going to the next level, regardless of what sport it is,
right?
When they do the visits with the college,
right.
Now, there's official visits, and there's unofficial visits. Please explain how that goes. What's the difference there?
Okay, so an official visit is when you formally get invited by that college to come see their facilities, to come see campus. 9 out of 10 times they'll have you come see a game. But that is something that school is paying for. They will fly you out, or they'll supply you with a train ticket to come out to campus, and that's an official visit. Now, what most people don't know, when it comes to official visits with the NCAA, you're only allowed to get 5 official visits a year.
Okay. Now
you cannot exceed that.
In saying that, can a person start as a freshman having visits?
Yes, you can have visits as a freshman, but you only get 5 that freshman year.
Okay.
Then your sophomore year, you get 5.
Okay.
Your junior year, you get 5. Your senior year, you get 5. You know, so that's how that works. You only get 5 official visits per year. Now, an unofficial visit is pretty much the same. The school contacts you and everything, but with an unofficial visit, it's how can I say it? They just don't pay for anything. You come up on your own.
Come up on your own, okay.
You know, you can have unlimited unofficial visits.
Got it.
And 9 out of 10 times, especially in today's world and with the social media, most official visits, it comes through the social media blast from that school, via their Twitter, via their Instagram. They'll say, you know what, we're having Gene Campbell come visit this weekend. That's an official visit. They made an official announcement. All of your unofficial visits, there is no posting. That coach just calls you, sets it up, and you just come up on your own.
Okay. Now, does it make your chances better if you went to a school on an official visit as opposed to an unofficial visit?
Not really. 9 out of 10 times, that school that you go make an unofficial visit to, if they feel like they have a chance to secure you and sign you, they're going to bring you in for an official visit.
Okay.
You know, most of your coaches, they don't use official visits because that's money out of their budget. They got to fly kids out. They have to feed them. Sometimes they let them stay on campus, but other times they might pay for them to stay in a hotel if there's no room available on campus. So coaches, you know, are not going to spend money on players that they don't think they have a chance to sign.
Okay, now usually when these official visits happen, I'm sure there's, of course, a tour of the school. But what else goes on, and what type of discussions or whatever go on during these official visits?
Well, it varies. I'll tell you what would go on, what should be talked about. Okay. If you're coming in, you always want to find out how many freshmen or sophomores are playing your position, because those are the guys you're going to be battling against over the next 3 to 4 years.
Yeah, okay.
If you're a point guard, right, and they bring you in on an official visit, and they just signed a point guard the year before, you got to fight with that guy over his next 3 years and over your next 4 years. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if they bring you in on an official visit and that point guard in front of you is a junior or a senior, now you can take that as an opportunity to come in and play, learn from them, learn the system, and then once that player leaves, then you get to slide right into that spot.
Okay, got it.
The most important thing I feel on the visit is style of play. You have to do your research on the style of play of the school that you're going to take a visit at. Because if you know that that school's style of play doesn't fit your game, it's a waste of visit. You're wasting that coach's time, you're wasting your time, but you could have gone and visited someone else's school. You know what I mean?
Right.
It has to be a fit. And give case in point, you know, I'll talk to my football players real quick. If you're a wide receiver, slant guy, you know, and you go to a school where they run and pound the ball 80% of the time, that's not a good fit for you. You're not going to get the touches that you used to get.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
A lot, yeah. Yeah.
Or if you're a point guard and you like to play in a half-court offense and you like to control the shot clock and get your bigs involved, and then you go to a school where they play a very fast-paced up-and-down game, that's out of your element. So then what happens is that it starts to affect things. When you're not happy where you're playing and how you're playing, it starts to affect your playing time. Then it starts to affect your practice performance. Then it starts to affect the classroom. And then the next thing you know, you're spiraling and then you're academically ineligible. And then you're on the plane back coming home because you lost your scholarship.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, that's crazy. Now, primarily, most of the people that, well, I ain't going to say most, but many of the people you deal with are people who were not on the radar, per se.
Yeah, all of the people that I help, they are under recruited or not on the radar at all. I actually, I posted a video not too long ago, and I just said, Division I athletes don't need my help. If you're a Division I athlete, a solid, true Division I athlete, you've been contacted by Division I schools by your sophomore year.
Okay.
You know, even low-level Division I guys, they don't go under the radar. Somebody knows who they are. They just don't become Division I players in their senior year of high school.
That's one of the things I was going to ask you. You made a post, I would say maybe about 3 weeks ago.
Mm-hmm.
You stated, I don't remember the exact words, but you stated like basically, if nobody has contacted you by a certain time, you know, your chances are. Those wasn't your exact words, but basically,
Right.
I got what you were saying. Like, elaborate on
Yeah.
that. What's the time?
I mean, listen, Division I scholarships don't fall out of the sky.
Right.
That's just not how that works. So if you feel that you're a Division I player, but yet it's September of your senior year and you have not gotten one Division I letter, not one text, not one phone call, you're not a Division I athlete. And that's a harsh reality for a lot of players. But you have to be honest about who and what you are as a player.
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with not being a Division I athlete. I played Division III basketball and I had an outstanding career. And I can tell you that I've done things at the Division III level that guys at Division I didn't get a chance to do.
Right.
I won more games. I played in the NCAA tournament. I played on TV. There's guys that were at the Division I level the same time I was in college and didn't do any of that. Didn't even get a chance to make their conference playoffs. You know, imagine being a Division I athlete playing 4 years and never playing in the playoffs.
Now, let me just bring it down a level, like for those who are in the 7th and 8th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Even though in so many ways it's somewhat illegal, but do you still find that high school coaches are still recruiting and going around to the middle schools?
Absolutely, they are.
Absolutely. Now, but how legal is that as far as the county rules you're playing in, the city?
Well, it's very smart if you're a high school coach in, let's say, a town like Jersey City or Newark, where there's multiple public schools. If you get a chance to get one of those kids to come to you, that changes the course of your season.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I have the utmost respect for the coaches that talk to 7th and 8th grade. Now, what I have a problem with is when coaches talk to players when they're already out of school. That, to me, feels like tampering because you're talking about getting in the mind of young men and women who are impressionable. They look to you for guidance, for stability, for honesty, you know? So as a coach who recruited at the college level, there were tons of guys that I saw play against other teams that played on other teams when I was at Brookdale.
Okay.
But that wasn't my place to go to them and tell them, hey, why don't you come transfer to Brookdale? Because we're going to go to the national championship.
Right.
That's just not the right thing to do.
Now, in dealing with the people you've helped, do you have a certain person or a certain few that you feel were your most accomplished moves for a client?
You know what? They all were accomplished because I can honestly tell you 99% of the players that I got involved with, they came to me. They either had, one, maybe two schools that were showing small interest.
Were they D1s?
But not even.
Okay.
And then most of my players that I've helped and my service really, really helped them were the ones that had nothing. I've had parents and players come to me and they're just like, Coach, it's June of my senior year. No one contacted me. I just graduated 2 weeks ago. I want to play in college. Can I play in college? And I'm just like, at that point, it all comes down to film evaluation.
Okay.
And once I evaluate the film, then I'm going to tell you where I see you. And then now that's up to you whether you agree with that or not.
Right.
Because there's been some parents and players that I told, listen, this is where I see your son or daughter, and they didn't agree with it. That's fine. I'm just giving you my professional opinion. It's like a doctor. You can go seek a second opinion, but I'm just telling you what I see.
What you see. Now speaking on that, film evaluation.
Yes.
Let's talk about that a little bit and what the importance of having film. How you go about evaluating film.
I can tell you, as somebody with 30 years of experience in the game of basketball, recruiting, even football, with everything, just in sports in general. If you are an under the radar or not on the radar at all, and if you do not have any film, you have zero chance of going to college. You're going to have to enroll someplace, basically try to walk on, show up to the first practice, and show the coaching staff what you can do. But without film, how can I help you help yourself without film? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't even really evaluate you without film. I would have to see you play and then tell you what I see. But without film, it's just it's impossible. It's really impossible to try to help somebody get someplace without film. So to all these coaches, if there's any coaches out here listening to this, please, if you're paying for the huddle, if you're paying for the crossover, if you're paying for any film streaming sports service, please, please, please allow your players to have access to that film. I know you guys probably use it for practice purposes to get prepared for the next game and film breakdown, but you have to give it to your players because that is the only way they are going to be able to market themselves. Now, if the coach is doing it on his own, that's fine. But if you're not doing it, give it to the kids and let them help themselves.
Yeah, I have heard a couple of stories from some students where they had trouble getting the film, and the film was there and available. It's like some coaches don't like to get up off of that. I don't understand.
Listen, it's a topic that that really doesn't sit well with me, and we can talk about that offline about some stories that I've heard, but it's not right. If you're there to help these kids be the best versions of themselves on or off the court or field or whatever sport they're playing in, you as their coach, it's your responsibility. If you don't have the connections, and that's fine, it's okay to tell a parent, hey, listen, I may not know that many coaches. So then if you don't, refer them to somebody like me that has a connection to the coaches, and I can pick up the phone or I can send an email and get a kid some exposure and help them, get a step closer to their dream of playing in college.
Okay. Now, what is your formula for helping these students with these accomplishments?
Each kid is different. Each athlete is different. And that ties back to the transferable skills. Everybody's transferable skill is not the same. So if I have a student who's phenomenal academically, and they might be a borderline Division II or Division III kid, we all know that at Division III, they don't offer scholarships. They don't offer athletic scholarships. So what I would do for a kid that has great grades I would market them to Division III first, just because at the Division III level, they give you so much money for being a great student. And if you apply for financial aid, if you put both of those things together, you're basically going to school for free or heavily reduced. And that's always the goal for my players. If I can't get you a full scholarship, my goal is to get you your tuition heavily reduced, so you or your parents are not $100,000 in loans when you're done with your 4 years.
Okay. Yeah. So now, being that you said that, let's talk scholarships. Like, truly define scholarship, because you have a partial scholarship. You have like, talk about the scholarships and how that goes.
An athletic scholarship is an annual renewable contract. There is no such thing as an upfront 4-year scholarship. It does not exist. A scholarship is renewed every single year for every single player. The guy that wins the Heisman Trophy, the guy that wins National Player of the Year in college basketball, they have to go into their coach's office at the end of the season, and it's called an exit meeting, and they have a conversation about having their scholarship renewed.
Okay.
That's how that works. There's no upfront 4-year deal.
So how does those like partial scholarships work? How does that go?
So at Division II, there's a distinct difference in the amount of scholarships that are given out at Division I. Division I basketball teams give 13 full athletic scholarships for every single team. They don't have to worry about partials. They are 13 full scholarships that pay for housing, books, and food for all 13 players. At the Division II level, and this goes towards a lot of NAIA as well. At the Division II level, they don't have that many scholarships. I think the most number of scholarships they are allowed to give is about 6. Okay. So what coaches do is take those 6 full scholarships and cut them in half. So if you have a kid that that is eligible for full Pell Grant, that takes most of that tuition, and whatever's left over, they give that player basketball money, and they put together a scholarship. And that's how partial scholarships work. Okay,
got it. So primarily with Division III, it's basically financial aid situation.
Financial aid and your grades. Your grades play a major part in Division III recruiting. A lot of those institutions are high academic institutions, and they reward the students for having great grades.
Got it. Now, in your process, do you often have like consultations with the person before you take them on?
Yes.
Yes. And
I have consultation with everybody.
Okay,
because you have to be honest with them about your evaluation. So when you tell them, listen, sir, ma'am, this is where I see your daughter, this is where I see your son, I would market him to this level. They have to be okay with that. They have to be on board with it.
Right, definitely.
Before we move on to the next step.
Have you had any who you felt going D3, but the parent might have felt they D1, D2?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, how did that go?
I try to be as diplomatic as possible in my responses. I also try to let them know that playing Division III basketball is nothing to turn your nose up at. Because out of 600,000 high school basketball players every year, only 3.4% of them play in college, and that's all 3 levels, Division I, II, and III. So if you get an opportunity to play after high school, take it. Because everybody doesn't do it.
Now, does your company have a trainer or any type of training involved in it? Or
we're affiliated with some trainers. Coach Amir Bailey. He was the trainer for St. Benedict's T2S Basketball Academy. We work closely with both of them. We also work with Proving Ground basketball. So there's definitely some people that I'm connected with that I will refer parents to.
Okay. Now, and whether it be football, basketball, lacrosse, a lot of people say if this is something you want your child to do, this starts at 5, 6, 7 years old. How do you feel about that?
Well, first of all, you got to know that they want to play.
Exactly.
You can't live your athletic life vicariously through your kids.
Right.
We all want to. But you can't. So you have to make sure that they want to play.
Because it seems to be that's what goes on, really, in a lot of other countries.
Mm-hmm.
When you take a look at, especially like Olympic sports, like some
right.
of these people are doing, they've been training since they was 5, 6 years old. So I guess maybe they had no choice.
Right. Listen, I'll just tell you that I watched an interview one time with the late great Kobe Bryant, and he was talking about how a conversation he had with Michael Jordan.
Okay.
And he asked Michael Jordan, like, at 13, did you know that you wanted to be the best basketball player in the world? And Michael Jordan told him, at 13, I was playing baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So let your kids dabble in everything.
Yeah.
They'll tell you what they like and what they don't like. Yeah. And once they tell you what they like, that's when you go full throttle in. But allow them to test the waters in, every sport. Let them see what they like and what they don't
like. How do you, I guess, enhance skill development for your clients?
A lot of film, watching film with them and pointing out to them stuff that I see that they need to work on. And that's very that's very position specific.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, let's say for alignment, you got to have quick hands. You got to have quick feet. That's just what there's no getting around that. You can't be a lineman in college and have slow feet and slow hands. It's not going to work. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're a linebacker, you got to be able to make plays sideline to sideline.
Right.
If you don't have the speed to get the sideline to sideline, it's just you have to work on those things. For basketball players, if you're a point guard, you can't be a point guard and not be able to shoot. It doesn't work.
Now, some people, especially around my age or older, would beg to differ. Because during that time, a true point guard, his job was to distribute the ball, at the right times and the right places. They wasn't really.
And you can still do that, but you got to keep the defense honest. Look at and I'll tell you, and I'll talk about some point guards during our time that we watched. Look at Dennis Johnson for the Celtics. He wasn't a shoot first point guard,
right?
But when the Lakers left him open, he hit wide open jump shots. You got to keep the defense honest.
Mm.
You have to.
Okay, now let's talk about mentorship. How do you mentor these young guys?
I try to stay as positive with them as possible.
Mm-hmm.
I always had positive influence around me. I'm very fortunate to still have my dad living. My mom is still living. I have my older brothers. So they were always talking to me and telling me about things that I could do. They never told me that you can't do this, you can't do that. Mm-hmm. So that's the way I grew up. So any player that I talk to, I always tell them, listen, you can do it. It might have to be tweaked a little bit. You know what I mean? You may not be able to do it at the level you want to do it at. You might be able to do it at a different level. But anything that you want to do can be done. You just have to put in the work to do it. It's not going to be handed to you.
Right. Now, what are some of the things that you guys do to help advance their careers off the field or off the court?
I'm always in contact with all of my former players, man. Just checking in on them because I always tell them, I don't care what school you go to, you got to graduate. Like that's the end goal. Like you have to get your degree. If you're going to college for whatever sport you're playing, you got to get your degree while you're there. So that's always important. And I always just try to, support them and encourage them or whatever it is that they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Even if, not playing football or basketball at the pro level is not what they want to do. If they want to get into photography, if they want to get into coaching, if they want to get into teaching, whatever it is, they understand that this relationship with Coach Danny doesn't stop just because you stop playing whatever sport that you play. Like we're going to be connected for life. So whatever you need, you can always call me.
Got it. So now, a lot of people I know, younger cats, once they found out that my son moved on to the next level, a lot of them are asking me questions about how to do this and how to do that.
Right.
Now, one of the things I see through trial and error is when it comes to recruiting or agent, big names aren't everything.
No.
And a lot
it's not what you know, it's who you know.
Yeah. A lot of these guys are going at these big name guys, and just because it may have been a fit for certain people, it's not a fit for you.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, have you ever got any, say, backlash or any issues with other agencies who do what you do? Do they try to trash you or do anything for a come up?
There's always there's always going to be haters, but Kobe Bryant said they don't hate the good ones; they hate the great ones. So if there are people that feel like they can do something, better than I can do it, that's fine. Listen, my product, my brand, it speaks for itself. It's tested over and over and over again. You can ask anybody that has ever used my services. The professionalism, the follow-up, the attention to detail, it's the same. Nothing changes. And that's what I believe makes me different from anybody else that does what I do, because each recruit gets their own roadmap, and not to talk bad about anybody that does it any other way, but there are some services out there that just like, oh, just pay this money and do this. And it's like, yeah, but you can pay this money, but you can't market that kid the way you market somebody else. You can't market them the same.
Right.
Because they're two different products. Like you don't market, burgers the way you market soda. They're two different products. You know what I'm saying? So each thing has to be individualized for that player. And I think that's what makes us great and what makes us unique. We individualize everything that we do.
Okay, now, the way I see it, I think complete trust, right, is one of the most important elements when a student is choosing an agent, consulting firm.
Right.
Okay. Now, if we both agree to that, what is your formula for gaining that trust?
Consistency. Not making promises that I can't keep. I tell every player, I tell every parent, I will never guarantee you a scholarship. I don't have that power to do that. What I guarantee you is exposure. We get you in front of the coaches that need what you do well.
Got it. So now, in your circle of schools you deal with, what are some of the schools where you have sent some of your students?
University of District of Columbia, Johnson and Wales University in Providence, Rhode Island, Graceland University in Iowa, Um, man, there's so many schools. Merrimack, FDU, NJCU. Like it ranges from Division 1 all the way down to Division 3 junior college, USCAA, NAIA. Like we really just it it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like some companies, some agencies are like they gotta hit a home run. They gotta send their people to Division 1, and I'm like, everybody's not going to be a Division 1 athlete.
Right.
The goal is to get them to school. Don't let the level that you play at define you. Define yourself by being the best player at whatever level you get the opportunity to play at.
Now, some kids, like you said, they were not on the radar.
Mm-hmm.
Were able to go to community college, junior college, and play, but they want to go to that next level, D3. Do you get any of those students?
Yeah, because they're going to be kids that come out of high school that are not ready to play at the Division 3 level. They need to go do 2 years at a junior college to even be good enough to get developed to be able to play at that Division 3. Mm-hmm. People think that Division 3 is just like, oh, well, you know, they think Division 3 is 13th grade. Sadly mistaken. Mm-hmm. Sadly mistaken. Like, that is real, legit basketball. As you know, your son played Division 3 junior college and Division 3 4 years. And he played on some incredible teams. I actually coached against your son when he was at Middlesex.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, that team that they had was really good. And it was a struggle playing against them. They had, you know, Big Baruch, who was also one of my clients. I got him into Wilberforce University out in Ohio, and he ended up playing ABA basketball, and now he's overseas.
Okay.
You know, so there was tons of talent, you know, in this local Division 3 junior college conference that, you know, these kids sleep on, and they think that they can just go there and they'll be stars. And a lot of times they don't even get off the bench. And that breaks their confidence. It crushes them. And then they just, you know, they'll say stuff, oh, the coach didn't like me, and, you know, whatever. And it's like, no, you just weren't good enough. You needed to get better.
Now, when some of the kids, like when they asking me questions about agents, one of the things I always tell them is, don't believe everything you hear.
You know? Please don't.
So, I'm sure there's some people who dealt with another agent, left it alone, and came to you. What are some of the stories they may have told you that was just a terrible thing to tell them, you know, really?
Well, people get confused the difference between interest and offer.
What's that? Say that again.
I said people get confused and they don't know the difference between interest and an offer.
Got it. Okay.
You know what I mean? Okay. So I've had several people come to me and say, you know, oh, this guy told us that, you know, we had 10 offers. And I'm like, 10 offers? I'm like, that's a lot of scholarship offers. Listen, I've seen it happen, but that's a lot. And then when you start to talk to them and you find out what's going on, I'm just like, that's not an offer. That's just interest. Mm-hmm. There's 10 schools interested. 10 schools didn't make an offer. You know, that's the big disparity. Like, when you're offered a scholarship, that means that they want you bad enough and they're willing to spend money to have you come there. Interest? Not that interest is not important, but they're not at the point where they're telling you they're willing to spend money on you yet. You know, there still might be some more things that they want to see before they're talking about spending money on you.
You know, and that brings me to the next thing I wanted to talk about. A lot of people don't understand the language of this recruitment process.
No, they don't.
So I often tell them as well, understand the process before you start. Like, you have
to understand the process.
Yeah, you have to do some homework before you start.
Yeah. There's a lot to the process. Like, you have to get identified first.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and this is no knock against anybody that may be in this position. But if you're a junior in high school and you're still splitting time between JV and varsity as a junior, you know, how many college coaches do you think you're playing from?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you just have to be honest and realistic about your situation.
Right.
And then on the flip side of that, you could be a freshman starting varsity, right?
Right.
And then now look how many college coaches you have the potential to play in front of over your 4 years.
Mm.
So everybody's situation is different.
Different. Right. Got it. And like, what do you feel about, you know, a lot of the kids, they tend to put all their eggs in one basket. Like you, as what you do you have a problem with a student who may speak to someone else who does the same job you does?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Not at all. Not at all. That's the beauty of, you know, having, you know, multiple services, multiple businesses. You know what I'm saying? Just like in your line of work, you're a DJ. You know, there's going to be, you know, 50 other DJs, you know? So that's just what it is. There's going to be other people that do what I do. You know, that's fine. I have no problem with that. Like I said earlier, I am very secure in myself, in my ability, in my business. And it's, you know, our numbers, they speak for themselves, you know? Like, I'm in no competition with anybody. When someone comes to me and they ask for our service, I am 100% fully dedicated to that player and making sure that I get them as much exposure as they deserve.
Okay. Now, are there any fees involved in your services?
Yes, we do have fees, and we have, you know, different tier plans. You know, for different levels of exposure, we have consultation plans. We have, you know, direct, you know, college workout, you know, plans. You know, if you don't have anything and you want to get in directly in front of a coach, we have plans for that as well. So, you know, it's a lot of different options because, again, everybody's situation is different. Everybody needs different things. So you have to have a service that's, you know, can be tailored and customized to whatever that person needs.
Got it. Now, I also tell them, and again, this goes back to learning the process, like to be aware of promises, because a lot of promises are made, you know, and once you give them that debit card or write that check or give them that cash, you start to see things to be a little different.
Right.
You know,
right.
So like, what are some of the stories you may have heard from your clients that happened prior to them coming to you?
Having people tell them all the coaches that they know. Like, I could sit here for 3 hours and tell you all the coaches that I know across the country. How does that help you? That's just me telling you the people that I know. That's not helping you or your child get to college. You know? So when parents come to me and they ask me, well, how many Division I coaches do you know? There's 389 Division I schools, so I know all of them. But what does that mean if your son or daughter is not a Division I recruit?
Right.
Makes sense. So we need to focus on what's at hand first and the evaluation of your child to see where they fit. You know, even if there's an inkling of them being able to at one point get to the Division I level.
Now, say during a season, I guess what sport you play, when is the best time a student should try to meet or seek an agent?
Well, I made a post earlier today about the importance of in-season exposure. If you are under the radar or not on the radar at all, you really need to work on getting exposure while you're in your season. And I say that because if you get your film out, or if you get it to someone like myself and I get the film out for you while you're in season, that increases the chances of that coach coming to see you during your season. And that's what you want. You want that coach's eyes on you during your season while you're performing your best.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If you wait until the end of the season, you're waiting now with every other high school player in the country that's going to bombard college coaches with their film all at the same time. So what's the chances of them opening up your email and calling you back?
Mm.
You know?
Yeah.
You gotta play the percentages. And the percentages are more in your favor for them to look at you while you're in your season. Because once the season is over, they have an itinerary of where they're going, who they want to go see, what AAU tournaments they're going to. And if you're a kid that's not on any radar, there's a really strong possibility that your email is just going to sit in their inbox until next September.
Now, what do you feel about? I see a lot of agents have like bundled services. Like I just said, you have tier 1, different tiers of service,
right?
And many of them, like they just seem they telling you they could do everything for this one price. Like, how is it humanly possible? Do you run into any of them? Do you see any of them?
Yeah, I see it. I see the stuff when it's posted, and I scratch my head at times, and I'm just like, how are you gonna do all that for multiple clients? Like there's no way if you have multiple clients, there's no way you can give 100% with all the stuff you say that you can do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That you're offering. It's impossible. You can't do it. That's why, again, when I meet with parents and players, I need to know from them exactly what they want.
Right.
Like, just something simple like certain kids may not want to leave the state. So you got these guys sending emails all across the country, and then the kid is just like, well, I want to stay close to home. You just wasted weeks of, getting them exposure to a place that they don't even want to go to. But that's because you didn't ask the right questions in the evaluation process.
Now you just brought me to something. Now, in both our eras, there were some great basketball players to come out of Jersey City. As
Phenomenal.
well as football players to come out of Jersey City. Bayonne as well.
Yes.
Hoboken as well.
Oh,
now,
yes.
When you look at that, okay, you had, at that point in time, St. Peter's College, which is now St. Peter's University, had a football team.
Yes, they did.
Right? And as well as NJCU had a football team. Right?
Yes, they did.
So the point I'm trying to get at, you had so many great players come out of the local area, but nobody went to St. Peter's.
That is because a lot of the local schools, especially here in New Jersey, have a very difficult time retaining the talent here. I don't know why, but they have a difficult time retaining the talent and keeping them here.
Yeah,
I can speak to my own personal experience. When I was coaching at Brookdale, the 6 years that I coached there, we went to 2 national championships. We went to 4 Final Fours. And out of the 6 years, 5 of those teams were ranked in the top 10 in the country. Not one Division II school signed any of our kids in the state. It's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand. I don't understand how you don't recruit the kids here. You're supposed to have all the top kids in the state. Even if you think you can't get them, you bring them in anyway. You offer them anyway.
Now, do you know, does St. Peter's University offer athletic scholarships?
Yes, they are Division I.
Division I, okay. But I just didn't understand. Okay, now maybe smaller level, but it's a Division I college.
Right.
Mainly just speaking like St. Anthony's. Great,
Right.
great players came out of there. Many of them went to,
Powerhouse high school program.
and they went all over the country. And I just never understood it. Like I always felt that St. Peter's could have been a powerhouse school with all the talent that came out of
And
the same city.
St. Peter's, I felt like could have went to multiple Final Fours if they just recruited the kids from Ferris and St. Anthony's and the Jersey City public
Yeah,
schools, go
yeah,
into Newark and get a couple of kids from Newark.
yeah. I never understood that. It's no reason for
I didn't
them.
understand it either.
It's no reason for them to have been struggling, all these
No,
years with the way they struggle. They could be running the MAC conference.
absolutely, they should be. But you know what? Things are changing now. Shout out to my guy Shaheen Holloway. I played against him in high school, and he's the head coach now at St. Peter's University, and he's a local guy. He played at St. Pat's. He's from Queens, so turning that he's turning that ship around. He's getting that local talent to come in, and it's exciting to see because now these kids, are wanting to go play for St. Peter's. That was never the case before. So, shout out to him. And also Coach Peichel, too, down at Rutgers. He got Paul McCahey and the kid from Bayonne. He has another kid, the big 7-foot kid, Cliff. He got him in, I believe, from Roselle Catholic. So, Ron Harper Jr. So they're keeping, the players, home. Hopefully they can get one of these, McDonald's All-Americans to stay home. That would be a huge, for the state, because as you know, we produce the talent, but everybody else just comes and takes them from.
Yeah. Yeah, I always wondered, what it could be.
Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully with this new generation of athletes, it only takes one. It only takes one kid to change the course of recruiting because it's a domino effect. Once that one kid commits, and they're like, oh, he's going there? All right, well, I'll go there too. And they're like, oh, those two are going there? Well, then I'll go there too. And then the next thing you know, you got the number 5 recruiting class in the country.
Yeah, because I always thought maybe they didn't give athletic scholarships, but you enlighten me, it's Division I, so that's 7 scholarships,
Yes, Seton Hall, Rider, FDU, Monmouth, St. Peter's, Rutgers, they're all Division I schools in the state.
Mm. Yeah. Well, Seton Hall, they get their share.
Yeah, they definitely do.
Share, but
they have to. Look at the conference that they play in.
Yeah.
They're a step down from the Power 5 conference, so they got to get top-notch talent.
Mm. Now, in regards to your family, man, in regards to your children, are your children involved in sports?
Yes, my daughter does karate, and my son plays football.
Football, okay. And your son, like he's in high school?
No, my son is 8. My daughter is soon to be a teenager. She'll be 13 this month.
Okay, I'm glad you said that. Now, you said your son is 8. So is he playing like at what our time was Pop Warner?
Pop Warner. He plays flag football as well.
Flag football as well. Now, with the changes going on in the NFL, which trickled down to the children in regards to tackle football, are you sometimes nervous with your son out there? No.
I have confidence in the coaches that are teaching him, that they're teaching him the proper way, to always be safe.
Got it.
To not try to hurt another player or hurt themselves in the process.
Okay. Now, okay, with that, I want to ask you this. Now, based on my time during my day of playing football, the way you would approach a tackle is different today.
Completely different.
Now, I think now most of the college players who came out have been taught the new way. But going back, say about 2012, 13, when those rules were just starting to change, and you had guys, veterans, who had played Pop Warner, high school, college, as well as several years in the NFL, and then all of a sudden they had changed the way they approach a tackle.
Right.
How do you think that affected the game?
Heavily penalized teams. Because they had to adjust. They had to adjust on the fly.
Yeah, I would sit there and watch some of the games and see. Like, for example, I'm a Steeler fan.
Right.
So James Harrison, when he was playing, the way he went at you. And then all of a sudden the rules changed. And he was getting penalized quite often. I was just wondering, how can you adjust when you've been used to doing it that long?
Yeah, those guys that when the rules adjusted that season, those guys never really adjusted because, like I said, they were in the off season or in training camp, and they was like, okay, then this is what we're doing this year. So you had to change everything. You know, you've been doing, like you said, you've been doing this your entire career, and then all of a sudden you have to change it.
Yeah.
So you know, it was very hard for them. You know, now it's been that way but even still now, there's still some players that still struggle with it.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, because they just